Peace, brothers and sisters, and thank you for joining me for this edition of Keep It Simple, Make It Plain. Just want to say at the very outset that yes, there is a free gift. It's by way of a download for a book by the name of Negroes with Guns. It tells the story of Robert Williams, who was the president of the local NAACP chapter, and they had to take up arms to protect themselves against racist crackers in that area. Rarely do you ever think of the NAACP and quote Negroes with guns in the same breath, but it's a very interesting story. It's a true story and a part of our history, and it will be available for download at the end of this video here. This Keep It Simple, Make It Plain edition is going to be a little bit different than others. I'm not going to really talk that long. I'm just going to go through a few things very quickly and move on. I'm just here in this particular sense to kind of maybe make some suggestions. Okay, two things. One, people should, at least in my view, think in terms of getting themselves a library. One of the things is I see that a lot of times black people, we as a people, we don't read as much as we should. It never amazes me. Sometimes I go into a barber shop, there's a stack of magazines that high, and even if the TV is not on, rather than people sitting there reading something, I see them like kind of just staring off into space. I'm not here to put black people down. I love black people. This is why I do this show, but we got some issues that we need to address. Okay, just that simple. We just need to address them. Anyway, if you're considering starting a library, I have 3 books I want to recommend right quick. One, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. By the way, it's only fitting that his should be the first one mentioned here because he is the founder of Black History Week, which was later lengthened to Black History Month. Suggest this be the cornerstone of your library, The Miseducation of the Negro. 2, The Crises of the Negro Intellectual. You notice that word Negro comes up a lot, but it was very prominent during the time a lot of these books were written. So this right here, and the reason I specifically mentioned this one and the next one after this is because it gets into analysis. And that's one of the things that we really, really don't have. We see the event, but we don't often see the analysis. Again, before I put this down again, that's The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual. And I'll give you an example. You take, for example, the March on Washington. Everybody knows about the March on Washington. And you see Martin Luther King giving a speech, and you see all the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people there. And that's a great thing, and you know about it, right? But did you ever wonder what happened behind the scenes? What were some of the struggles? What were the tactics of organizing? What were some of the pitfalls? We rarely do we learn about those things because those are things that we need to know nowadays to carry on. We just can't look at the finished product. These things are they're processes. They're not just events. So we don't ever really get to see those things. But people that take the time to write analysis of the period and some of the dynamics of different things, that's what we need more of. So that's a highly recommended book. And one last book here we're going to read was The Making of Black Revolutionaries by James Forman. Again, James Forman was a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and what he did here in this, he took these notes and he kept diaries and journals and put this into an analysis of that organization. So you didn't just see the event, you saw the process, you saw the ups and downs. And when you read these things, you find that they're just as relevant today as they were then. Because I don't know if you've come to this conclusion that I have, but the reality is, it seems to me that struggle is permanent for black people in this country. I haven't seen anything in the past 400 years of looking at history that shows me otherwise. So you might as well start being prepared for it, whether the current president's in office or who after. Struggle is permanent for us, and you best be prepared. Okay, so enough on that. Now we're going to a little the film media. I want to recommend, top on the list here, Nothing But a Man, starring Ivan Dixon. This is said to be Malcolm X's favorite film. That's what word is on the street. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I know it's one of my favorites, that's for sure. Ivan Dixon was always a brother who, even when he played in comedies like Hogan's Heroes and stuff like that, no matter what he played in, he always played a dignified role. He never scratched his head unless it was itching, and he never danced unless he liked the sound of the song. Okay, so that was just, and a little fun fact, Ivan Dixon is also the brother who directed The Spook Who Sat by the Door. I highly recommend this film. Used to be back in the day, you could only catch it every other Black History Month. So if you saw it in 1980 on like PBS or something like that, you wouldn't see it in 81. You might catch it on 82, or you would see it in some kind of art houses in New York City. They'd have the little revivals, and you'd see it then. But it was a hard film to catch. It's $17. I see there's a copy of it on not Netflix, on YouTube. I really, what I suggest, this is just a suggestion, buy the video, have people over for potluck, maybe another couple, sit down, watch the video over dinner, and then have some discussions afterwards. And that could be something maybe you might want to start doing every Black History Month, or even off of Black History Month. Another video I want to recommend here, a little bit more entertaining, but also entertainment, and that's The Drop Squad. This was produced by Spike Lee. It wasn't directed by Spike Lee, so it's not, quote, a Spike Lee joint, but it was produced by Spike Lee. And actually, it's a pretty good film. I like it. On the non-political level here, we have Standing in the Shadow of Motown. Let me just read something off the cover here. They played more #1 records than the Beatles, the Beach Boys, the Rolling Stones, and Elvis Presley combined. But you never heard of them, right? Well, they were called the Funk Brothers. And so all those groups in Motown, whether it be Smokey, Stevie Wonder, the Temptations, all those groups on the Motown label, this was the band that was right behind them. So they were on more hits than anybody, but one of the greatest bands that no one ever heard of. So, and it's a great documentary, very enjoyable, very uplifting. That's in the Standing in the Shadow of Motown. Okay. I want to recommend one other thing. And usually I recommend buying certain videos. They're worth owning. The one that I'm about to mention now, and also I'll have a link to it at the end of this video, is called Cosmic Slop. Cosmic Slop was a thing that was done on HBO in the 90s, and it actually had like 3 mini movies in it, so the whole show might have been 3 hours, an hour and a half, but each segment was a half hour. And this segment called Space Traders had to do with aliens that came to Earth, and they said, we will take care of all your problems in America in terms of pollution, in terms of the national debt, all of your issues, but you have to give us all of your black people. And they had to have so much melanin, so they didn't really want the light-skinned people. So anybody about my complexion and darker was what they were looking for. And so they gave them 5 days to make the decision. And interestingly enough, they were looking to go along with it, but there was one black man who was kind of had the inside track, played by the late Robert Gilliam, who just passed away, like maybe at the time of this here, maybe about a month ago or less. He was basically like a Larry Elder type. So imagine someone who has a Larry Elder type relationship with the black community having to be the one to try to save the black community. Now that, normally, like I said, I would say purchase it. It's not available on any video anywhere, videotape or anything. It was only available on VHS for a short period of time, but it is on YouTube, and I do have a link to it. Usually I don't like watching stuff that's kind of fuzzy and stuff like that, but go ahead and deal with that for 30 minutes. It's highly entertaining, and entertaining as well. So brothers and sisters, that's my actual short spiel for Black History Month this year. Again, recommend starting a library. Do your kids ever see you reading? If the answer no is no, that's a problem. Again, going back to this, if nothing else, either one of these videos, either Drop Squad or Nothing But a Man, but I highly recommend Nothing But a Man to sit down and have a discussion on with other people. I'd like to thank you for joining me for this edition of Keep It Simple, Make It Plain. I'd like you to subscribe if you found there was any value here. If not, then don't, because it don't make no sense subscribing if there's nothing you find of interest. But if you do, if you understand what's going on and you understand the need to be able to get more information in the future and to be prepared, then go ahead and click on subscribe. It ain't gonna kill you. All right, so anyway, this is Brother Nkosi. Peace. And thank you for joining me for this edition of Keep It Simple, Make It Plain.